Hey, what's up everybody? How's it going? It's Matt here with another game update. So I am so excited to share with you all the cool things that I worked on over these last couple weeks. It's been a little while actually since our last update, so I have a little bit extra. I worked on not one, but two new monsters. So that includes models, animations, and integrating that into the game. I did some UI work, some shader work, updated some consumables, and just kind of touched all sorts of different parts of the game. So yeah, there's a lot to go over. Here we go. I started off my week working on a character that I've been meaning to get to for a while. I call him the Waver, and it's because he moves at the player in a sine wave. Basically, all that means is instead of moving like this, like a normal enemy would, straight at you in a line, he's gonna move a bit more like this in a wavy pattern. So that's gonna make him harder to shoot and hopefully a bit more interesting to play against. I went with kind of a bat-looking character. That started off in ZBrush with a quick sculpt. I brought that into Topo Gun and retopoed it, and then finally brought it into Maya to kind of clean it up. So it's a nice clean mesh. He ended up around, 75,000 triangles, so obviously too high to go in our game. So I built that normal low poly, or that low poly mesh we usually build, which looks like this, which ended up being 3,500 triangles, a little bit more manageable. We got all those joints. Let me turn that off. Okay. Once I had that all skinned up, I started doing some animations. So here's his fly animation. This is his like hover fly. And then this is his like forward fly. So he's moving forward. And then his attack and his death. So he's pretty simple. He only has four full body animations. It was fun though, like learning a little bit about how birds fly and like the angle their body would be oriented at when they're hovering versus when they're flying forward. So that was pretty interesting. It was, I learned something new, so that was cool. And now let's see what the Waver looks like in game. Hopefully he's not buggy. This one has been a challenge because like to get him to move not in a straight line, like using the normal like nav agent system, I have to turn off the nav agent and just kind of do the navigation myself, which causes all kinds of issues. But here, let's see. So these guys kind of come at you. They're really hard to hit because of the waving back and forth on that sine wave. They actually all move at different frequencies and amplitudes. So hopefully it won't get too repetitive fighting against these guys. They're meant to be more annoying than really dangerous. But if big swarms of them get on you, that could get you in some trouble. But yeah, I really like how they feel different than fighting normal monsters. It takes a little bit more thought to kind of get them. There's a little jankiness happening, like that guy didn't play his death animation, and sometimes you'll see they teleport around a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what is causing that. It's probably that issue I was talking about before with the nav agent and me having to kind of do it by hand. But yeah, that's the Waver. I think they're a good addition to the game, adding some more variety to our weapon ecologies. Let's see if I can hook one. Oh, I missed. Okay, he's going down. We got him. Pretty happy with how he turned out. So I worked on two monsters this week, actually. The second one was this like kind of dopey looking guy. He sort of looks like Eeyore, or reminds me of Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. But yeah, he's called the Charger. So basically what he does is he'll run at the player, and if he hits them, he'll push them back and then do damage to him at the end of his charge. So yeah, I started off with like a rhino guy when I was doing my sculpt in ZBrush, and sort of came back around and ended up at this like sort of dopey looking cow sort of monster, which I like. He's super pudgy and he looks kind of cute. So this is our high poly mesh. This is our game ready mesh. So a lot simpler, but still just as cute. And I did some animations for that too. Here's what he looks like in engine. Like I was saying, he's a lot more complicated than the Waver. I had to leverage a lot of animation events to make sure that actions were happening during the appropriate animations and things were taking place like at the appropriate time in those animations. So for instance, let's go through the charge. I have this charge start animation where he sort of rears back and pushes forward. And you can see down here under events, I have this little tick. Actually, I have two ticks, but this is the one that's important, where it's event charge continue. So when I get to that point of the animation, I'm going to throw off a function in a script that's going to trigger off the charge middle, which is like sort of the stampeding look. It's a really simple charge. You don't really see this one. And then that's going to continue running until it hits something or reaches its maximum distance. And then at that point, there's another event where I will kick off this charge end animation. And this one also has a event. At the end of this animation, it's going to damage the player if it happened to hit one. Otherwise, it will just return it, back to its normal idle state. It really seems like a simple character, but you do have to chain all these animations together appropriately and kind of having these working in tandem with a bunch of scripts to create, a complete character. And now let's see where he ended up. Let's find the charger in game. Let's see, we should run into one soon. Okay, there's one. So he's gonna kind of just munch around. I don't know why he didn't play his walk animation, but once we get close to him, he should aggro us and then go into his charge state. Oh, let's let him hit us this time. Oh yeah, he pushes us. He actually does quite a bit of damage. Yeah, whoa, see, yeah, 3 of those hits and you're pretty much done. Yeah. So that's him. This gets pretty crazy when you have lots of these guys around. They're hard to dodge. They take a lot of damage. Oh, oh. They're cool. Yeah, they're definitely a very dangerous enemy type to run into in the game. And they change the way you have to play against them. So yet another character that adds more variety to the enemy types and makes it feel a little different to play against each of them. Yeah, I think they're pretty cool. Still some bugs to iron out with this guy, but yeah, very happy with how he's turning out so far. Here, let's let him finish us off. Oh. One small thing I worked on over these last couple weeks was the pause menu. Before it was sort of static. Sometimes some of the options wouldn't really make sense given the level you were in. But now when you press escape or start or whatever on the controller, you see this menu, which still doesn't look very pretty, but these buttons are actually now being dynamically created to fit the context of where you are in the game and give you appropriate options. Also, you notice when I toggle on and off, I'm actually playing around with a blur shader. I'm blurring out the background a little bit. So I think this looks a lot cleaner, and I'm really happy with this. I think eventually I really need to get some art on this UI. It's looking very janky right now. I also did some more work on consumables. So now when they drop, they'll actually play little animations instead of just spawning on the ground. So like they pop in like that. That guy didn't play his death animation, but yeah, see, they just kind of pop in. It feels a little bit better than them just appearing on the ground. All right, so I hope you liked that stuff. There were a lot of other little things that I worked on behind the scenes these last few weeks. I fixed a major animation bug with how my animation layers were blending that would cause the character to get stuck in broken states where he'd be like sliding around or just not responsive to the player. So yeah, just tons of other little things like that that sort of that go unnoticed in these YouTube videos, but are still very important to the game. I think next I'm hoping to actually take on a boss fight. I've kind of blocked that out very roughly, but I think it's time to go and like really try to flesh that out a bit more and maybe even start working on the boss character. Yeah, so I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing if you want to follow along and see the next one. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.